Well, let's bring Professor Carl Heneghan into the conversation. He's the director of the Centre for Evidence-Based Medicine at the University of Oxford. I know, Carl, that you went in and you did advise Boris Johnson at one stage, but then because you were sceptical about lockdown, you were rather frozen out of the process. I wonder, in general, what you make of the inquiry. You wrote a piece for The Spectator where you basically asked, what's the point of it? Are you still of that opinion, Professor?
Well, look, I think we always sort of thought about government, it was a bit disorganised and dysfunctional. But this is a window into how it works, and it's at a whole new level of distrust and dysfunctionality. So we're able to see the workings of government that we've never seen before. So I also think what's happening, though, is we're looking at government decision making, and what's happening is everybody's blaming everybody. The advisors are blaming the ministers, the civil servants are blaming everybody. And at this point, I thought, what happened here with Hancock is Patrick Vallance had it nailed on the head. He said he has a habit of saying things which he didn't have a basis for. And the key point there was Hugo Keith was saying, hold on a minute, you had a book that said this was the whole truth. This was the pandemic, the raw details of it. And in there, he never mentioned anything about the 13th of March and the immediate lockdown and the call with the Prime Minister. And now all of a sudden he's pulled it out of the bag. So I think actually, how can we trust these people on hearsay? And I have to say, most of the things that Hancock said today, I just found we didn't learn anything, any lessons whatsoever.
Did you find it as interesting as I did, Professor, that in the week questions were asked, I think, by Michael Gove, the Levelling Up Secretary, about the origins of the virus, wanted the inquiry to perhaps look into whether it was man-made in China, and he was quickly told, no, sorry, this isn't what the inquiry is dealing with. Well, if it isn't dealing with that very central question, one could argue what the point of it is, actually.
So I think, Camilla, there are two central questions. You're right. If it is man-made, and that's what they considered the issues were, you can understand why they were much more concerned about locking down. If they're suddenly saying, we've got this virus, we've got these research institutes in China that can do gain of function, and they're creating bioweapons, you could understand the panic and the alarm that occurred. I think that's one issue. The second issue that the inquiry has to do is start asking the questions, did lockdowns work? Because amongst people like Hancock, there's a belief that lockdowns work. And therefore, all we need is more lockdown, do it harder and faster next time. And actually, if you start looking at the evidence, that unravels really quickly.